Fellow Stoic, they never wanted you to know this. Your greatest enemy is the weak version of yourself. It whispers excuses, clings to comfort, and keeps you from becoming who you were meant to be. It's time to kill it. The weak version of yourself is the one that settles, that lets fear, hesitation, and bad habits keep you from greatness. You've felt it before, the inner war between who you are and who you could be. And guess what? They want you to stay weak. Society thrives on your complacency. They sell you comfort, distractions, and the illusion of safety, keeping you shackled in mediocrity. But today, we are going to expose the truth. In this video, you will learn how to identify the weak self, break free from its control, and build the unshakable mind of a true Stoic warrior. We'll be diving into the ancient wisdom of Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus, the men who forged strength in the fires of hardship. If you're ready to step into your power, comment yes below, and stay with me to the very end, because the final lesson will be the most powerful transformation of all. Let's begin. The weak self versus the strong self. They have spent years making you believe that your weakness is permanent, that the self-doubt in your mind is your true identity. You wake up every day feeling that weight, the hesitation, the overthinking, the need to seek comfort rather than face the challenges ahead. That voice in your head, the one whispering that you should take the easy way out, that you should stay in bed a little longer, that you should wait until tomorrow to take action. Who planted it there? You were not born with it. It was given to you by a world that benefits from your complacency, by a system that feeds on your hesitation. They have molded you into a version of yourself that is afraid to rise, to take control, to embrace discomfort and become something greater. And yet, deep inside, there's another voice, a quieter one they have tried to drown out. It tells you that you are capable, that you were not made for a life of fear and excuses, that your true nature is strength. The weak self is an illusion, a fabrication. The strong self is a reality they never wanted you to discover. The greatest battle of your life is not fought against the world but within yourself. It is a war between who you are and who you could be, between the self that accepts mediocrity and the self that demands greatness. The weak self clings to excuses, justifies bad habits, and blames circumstances for its failures. It tells you that you are a victim, that life is unfair, that success belongs to others but not to you. It is a voice of procrastination, of fear, of avoidance. It is a part of you that looks at challenges and says, "This is too hard," instead of, "This is an opportunity to grow." But what happens when you stop listening? What happens when you recognize that every moment you allow your weak self to control you, you are feeding a lie? Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good person should be. Be one." You do not become strong by waiting, by hoping, by wishing. You become strong by choosing discipline over comfort, choosing responsibility over blame, choosing action over hesitation. That choice is in front of you every single day. Epictetus understood this battle well, and he did not speak of it in abstract terms. He lived it. Born into slavery, his body was weak, crippled even, yet his mind was unbreakable. He did not lament his fate, nor did he seek pity. Instead, he realized a profound truth that no external condition could ever make him powerless unless he allowed it to. He taught his students, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Think about that. You can have wealth, status, and security, but if you are not in control of yourself, your mind, your emotions, your impulses, you are a slave. A slave to fear, to laziness, to the opinions of others. They have made you believe that strength comes from privilege, that only those born into the right circumstances can succeed. But the Stoics knew the truth. Real strength is cultivated. It is built from the inside out. It is not given to you. It is taken, earned, forged through relentless discipline and an unwavering refusal to submit to weakness. And when you start to make that shift, when you reject the weak self and step into the strong self, you will see the world around you change. Opportunities that once seemed distant begin to appear. People who once overlooked you now take notice. The same obstacles that once felt insurmountable become challenges you are willing to face head-on. You find that your ability to endure hardship increases, not because life gets easier, but because you have become harder to break. The mind that once wavered in self-doubt now stands firm in conviction. This is the moment you realize that the strong self was inside you all along, waiting to be set free. The transformation does not come in an instant. It comes in the small, deliberate choices you make every day. The moment you push through discomfort instead of avoiding it, the moment you take responsibility instead of making excuses, the moment you stop waiting for a perfect time to change and instead act now, these are the signs that you are leaving behind the weak self forever. Now is the time to make that decision. No more waiting, no more hesitating. You are either feeding the weak self or strengthening the strong self. There is no in-between. Every action you take either moves you closer to the person you were meant to be or keeps you trapped in the person they convinced you to become. But here's the truth. You are not weak. You were never weak. You were only told that you were conditioned to believe it until you started repeating it to yourself. But now, that belief ends. Right here, right now. Stand up, take control, and walk the path of strength, of discipline, of mastery. The choice is yours, and no one can make it for you. If you are ready to silence the weak self once and for all, comment strong below. And stay with me, because next, we are going to expose the hidden habits that have been holding you back. Identifying weak thoughts and habits. There is a voice inside you that whispers when no one else is around. You've heard it before, when you hesitate before taking action, when you feel the pull of comfort over discipline, when the day ends and you know, deep down, that you could have done more. It tells you that you're too tired, that tomorrow will be a better day to start, that it's already too late for you to change. But is that really your voice? Or is it something else, something planted in your mind over years of conditioning? This voice is a weak self in disguise. It pretends to be your ally, convincing you that you are protecting yourself from pain, from discomfort, from failure. But in reality, it is your captor, keeping you locked in a prison of hesitation and regret. And the worst part? You don't even realize you're being held hostage. The weak self thrives in the shadows, shaping your life without you even questioning its influence. But once you see it for what it is, once you expose it to the light, it starts to lose its power. The weak self does not fight you directly. It manipulates you. It knows that if it told you outright to give up on your potential, you would resist. So instead, it works subtly, wrapping its chains around your thoughts and decisions in ways that seem harmless. It speaks in the form of small justifications. Skipping one workout won't hurt. Staying comfortable is better than taking risks. There's always more time to change. It feeds on delay, on avoidance, on the hope that someday will come without action. But here's the reality. Someday never comes. It is an illusion designed to keep you from taking control of your life. Epictetus warned, if you delay and say you'll improve tomorrow, you'll be lost in mediocrity forever. Every excuse, every moment of hesitation, every time you let yourself off the hook, you are feeding the weak self, making it stronger, allowing it to tighten its grip on your life. And what does that lead to? A life spent watching instead of doing, dreaming instead of achieving, wishing instead of becoming. But what if this struggle, this internal war, was always meant to happen? What if the presence of the weak self is not just an obstacle, but a necessary test? The Stoics believe that every hardship is an opportunity, every challenge a form of training for the mind. Musonius Rufus, one of the lesser-known Stoics, taught that discipline was not just a choice but a duty, a sacred responsibility to ourselves. He said, no one is prevented from living according to nature, for it is always in their power. Your weak self wants you to believe that discipline is beyond you, that strength belongs to others, that your habits are unbreakable. But this is a lie you must reject. The very fact that you struggle with these thoughts means you have something worth fighting for. You are not weak because you hesitate. You are strong because you recognize it. The question is, will you remain shackled, or will you use this battle to forge yourself into something unbreakable? The moment you begin to resist, things start to change. At first, the voice of hesitation screams louder, desperate to keep control. But then something happens. It weakens. The chains loosen. The fog lifts. You notice small shifts. You no longer give in to the urge to procrastinate as easily. Your mornings become more disciplined. Your choices more deliberate. You begin to feel a sense of power returning to you, a strength that had been buried under years of doubt. You realize that every time you say no to comfort and yes to challenge, you are taking back control. And then, the world around you starts to shift as well. The same people who once dismissed you start to see something different in you, an energy, a focus, an intensity they cannot ignore. New opportunities arise, not because the world has changed, but because you have. Your perception sharpens, your discipline strengthens, your presence commands respect. You are no longer a passive observer of your own life, you are in control. But this transformation does not happen by chance, it happens by choice. The weak self will not disappear overnight. It will fight, it will tempt, it will wait for a moment of weakness to strike again. But you now have a weapon it cannot overcome, awareness. You have seen through the illusion, and you can never unsee it. You know that every action you take is either strengthening the weak self or empowering the strong self. There is no in-between, and so the choice is in your hands. Will you continue to give in to hesitation, to excuses, to fear? Or will you stand up, take control, and declare that you will no longer be held hostage by a version of yourself that was never meant to survive? If you are ready to break these chains once and for all, comment free below. And stay with me, because next, we will destroy the excuses that have been keeping you stuck. So far, you've seen the battle between your weak and strong self, and you started identifying the thoughts and habits that have been keeping you trapped. But now comes the most critical part, eliminating the toxic mindset that has been your greatest enemy. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe, share this video, and hit the super thanks button if you believe in this message. Let's keep going. Breaking free from excuses and fear. There is a moment before every great decision, every leap forward in life, where fear whispers in your ear. It tells you to wait, to think twice, to stay exactly where you are because moving forward is dangerous, uncertain, unpredictable. You felt it before, the tightening in your chest before you take a risk, the hesitation that creeps in when you consider changing your life, the endless cycle of what IFS that play in your mind like a broken record. Fear is the most cunning of all illusions, appearing not as an enemy, but as protector, pretending to keep you safe when, in reality, it is the very thing keeping you caged. They have conditioned you to believe that fear is a sign to stop, that it means you're not ready, that it's proof you are incapable. But here's the truth. Fear is not a wall, it is a doorway. The greatest moments of your life, the ones that will define you, are standing just beyond it. The question is, will you walk through? Fear is not only a thief of action, but a destroyer of potential. It has stolen your time, your confidence, your dreams. Think of the moments in your life when fear has won, when you backed down from an opportunity, when you let hesitation override your instincts, when you convinced yourself you weren't ready. And where did that get you? Did waiting make you stronger? Did avoiding discomfort build your future? No. All it did was keep you stuck, stagnant, watching from the sidelines as others who refused to bow to fear moved ahead. Seneca said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." How much of your fear is real? How much of it is based on actual danger? And how much of it is just a story your mind has constructed? The weak self thrives in that story, replaying the worst possible outcomes, paralyzing you with a reality that doesn't even exist. And every time you believe it, every time you give in, you are reinforcing that illusion, making it stronger, allowing it to tighten its grip on your life. But what if this fear, this struggle, was never meant to stop you, but to prepare you? The Stoics believed that fear was not an obstacle, but a tool, a test of worthiness. Musonius Rufus, one of the lesser-known Stoics, taught that hardship and challenge were essential for growth, that the path to greatness was forged through difficulty. He said, "A person who has never been tested, who has never had to endure hardship, cannot truly be called strong." What if the very thing you are afraid of is the exact thing designed to shape you into who you were meant to become? What if every fear you face is not a sign to stop, but an invitation to rise? The weak self will always tell you to turn back. The strong self knows that fear is just a threshold, a moment of choice, where you either step into your potential or retreat into mediocrity. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't is not the absence of fear, but their response to it. And something incredible happens when you start choosing differently. The moment you step through fear instead of running from it, it begins to lose its power. The hesitation that once controlled you starts to fade. You realize that fear was never a real barrier, just a phantom designed to test your resolve. Opportunities that once seemed terrifying now appear as challenges to embrace. You begin to see yourself differently, not as someone ruled by doubt, but as someone who has the power to walk through it. And then the world responds. People sense the change in you. The way you carry yourself shifts. You no longer move with hesitation, but with purpose. And as you continue down this path, something even greater happens. You become fearless. Not because fear no longer exists, but because you now know what to do with it. Fear is no longer a stop sign, but fuel, pushing you forward instead of holding you back. So now the decision is yours. You have lived long enough under the rule of fear. You have seen what hesitation has cost you, and you now know that fear is nothing more than an illusion, a test designed to see if you are ready for the life that is waiting for you on the other side. Will you continue to let it control you, or will you break free, step forward, and take what is yours? If you are ready to stop allowing fear to dictate your life, if you are ready to step into your true power, then comment fearless below. And stay with me, because next, we'll reveal the Stoic blueprint for transformation, the Stoic process of transformation. There's a moment in life when you realize that who you have been is no longer enough for who you must become. You feel it in the quiet moments of reflection, in the frustration of stagnant days, in the weight of unfulfilled potential pressing down on your soul. The weak self clings to you like a second skin, whispering that change is impossible, that discipline is too difficult, that the life you dream of is for someone else. But deep inside, you know this is a lie. There is a stronger version of you waiting to emerge, one built on resilience, wisdom, and unshakable discipline. The Stoics understood this battle well, and they did not see transformation as a single dramatic moment, but as a process, a continuous refining of the soul. You do not wake up one morning as your strongest self. You build it day by day with every disciplined action, every battle won against comfort, every moment you choose mastery over mediocrity. This is the path of the Stoic warrior, the process of becoming unbreakable. Transformation does not happen in theory. It happens in the trenches of daily life, in the small but powerful choices that shape who you are. The weak self thrives in passivity. It wants you to hesitate, to overthink, to remain in the loop of old habits. You tell yourself you will start tomorrow, that you need more motivation, that the conditions are not right. But the truth is, transformation does not wait for perfect circumstances. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, at dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I am rising to do the work of a human being. This is the mindset of someone who understands that discipline is not about feeling ready. It is about doing what must be done, regardless of how you feel. The Stoic process of transformation begins when you stop waiting for an external push and start taking full responsibility for your inner world, your mind, your habits, your ability to endure hardship. These are the raw materials of your transformation. And every time you choose discipline over comfort, you are hammering away at the weak self, forging something stronger in its place. Epictetus, a man who was born a slave and rose to become one of the greatest philosophers of his time, understood this principle deeply. He taught that true transformation requires a shift in perception, a complete rewiring of how we see ourselves and the challenges we face. First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. This is the secret. You must first commit to your higher self before you can become it. The weak self waits for proof before it believes, but the strong self moves with certainty. It understands that the process will be difficult, that it will require sacrifice, that old habits will resist being broken. But it also understands that this struggle is necessary. There is no strength without adversity, no mastery without effort. The Stoics did not fear hardship, they welcomed it. They saw every difficulty as an opportunity to train their minds, to sharpen their discipline, to become stronger than before. And if you want to kill the weak self, you must do the same. You must embrace the process, not as something to endure, but as something to engage with fully, knowing that every hardship faces another step in the forging of your ultimate self. And then, something begins to shift. You notice that your mind no longer reacts the same way to setbacks. The old excuses lose their power over you. You wake up early, not because you have to, but because you have become someone who does. You no longer avoid discomfort. You seek it out, knowing that it is the only way forward. Your emotions no longer control you. Your mind is clearer, sharper, more resilient. People start to notice. They see the discipline in your posture, the confidence in your actions, the quiet strength that cannot be shaken by the trivial frustrations of life. The opportunities that once seemed out of reach start appearing, not because the world has changed, but because you have. Your perception has shifted. You no longer see obstacles as barriers, but as training. You no longer crave external validation, because your self-worth is no longer dependent on others. You have taken control of the only thing that truly matters, yourself. And with that control comes a power you never knew existed. But this is not the end. This is only the beginning. Transformation is not a destination. It is a lifelong commitment. Every day, the weak self will try to reclaim its place, to whisper doubts into your mind, to tempt you back into old habits. But now, you know better. You have seen the truth. The weak self was never real. It was only the shadow of your past conditioning, a ghost that loses its form the moment you stop feeding it. The real you is the one who takes action, who chooses discipline over comfort, who rises every day with a clear purpose. The only question that remains is this: will you continue forward? Will you fully embrace this process, or will you slip back into the illusion of weakness? If you are ready to leave the old version of yourself behind and step fully into the path of transformation, comment "Reborn" below. And stay with me, because the final lesson will complete your journey. You've seen how to break free, how to rewire your mind, how to build strength through discipline. But there's one last step, one final realization that will separate you from the weak masses forever: becoming your ultimate self. There comes a moment when you must decide who you truly are, not the version of yourself that has been shaped by fear, hesitation, and the expectations of others, but the real you, the one that has been waiting beneath the surface, hidden behind years of conditioning. You feel it, don't you? That tension between the life you are living and the life you could be living. It's why you're here, seeking something more. And here's the truth they never wanted you to understand. You are already powerful beyond measure. The strength you need is not something you must find outside of yourself. It has been within you this entire time. The weak self, the one that doubts, that hesitates, that seeks comfort over greatness, was never real. It was a mask, a shadow cast by years of fear, self-doubt, and conditioning. And once you see through that illusion, you can never go back. For too long, you have lived as though you are fragile, as though you are incapable, as though you are at the mercy of circumstances. But that is not reality, that is imagination. Seneca said, "We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more from imagination than from reality." How many times have you let fear dictate your choices, only to later realize that the thing you were afraid of was never as powerful as you believed? How often have you backed away from opportunities, convinced you weren't ready, only to regret it later? The weak self thrives in this cycle. It keeps you trapped in an endless loop of hesitation, always waiting for the perfect moment, always seeking reassurance. But here's what the Stoics understood. There is no perfect moment, and the only real assurance you need comes from taking action. The more you wait, the stronger the illusion of weakness becomes. But the moment you step forward, the moment you refuse to be ruled by fear, the weak self begins to crumble. Zeno, the founder of Stoicism, did not begin his journey as a great philosopher. He was a merchant whose shipwreck destroyed everything he owned. Standing on the shores of Athens, with nothing left, he had every reason to collapse into despair, but instead, he sought wisdom. He found strength not in his circumstances, but in his mind. He later said, "I made a prosperous voyage when I suffered shipwreck." Do you understand what that means? The very thing that seemed like his greatest loss was actually his greatest transformation. And the same is true for you. Everything you have endured, the failures, the setbacks, the moments of doubt, has not been a curse, but a refining fire. The obstacles you have faced were never meant to break you. They were meant to build you. The problem is not that you are weak. The problem is that you have not yet recognized the strength that your struggles have given you. Every hardship has been a lesson. Every moment of pain has been preparation. The weak self tells you to avoid difficulty, but the strong self knows that this is how you become unbreakable. And when you finally step into that realization, everything changes. You no longer react to challenges with fear. You meet them with resolve. You stop making excuses for why you cannot succeed and start finding reasons why you must. You wake up with clarity, knowing that each day is an opportunity to sharpen your discipline, to train your mind, to become even stronger. You no longer fear discomfort. You seek it out because you understand that growth only comes through resistance. And then, the world begins to shift in your favor. Not because the world itself has changed, but because you have changed. Opportunities appear, not because they weren't there before, but because you now have the confidence to seize them. People respect you, not because they have suddenly discovered your worth, but because you carry yourself with the undeniable presence of someone who knows their own value. You are no longer a passive observer of your own life. You are its architect. But make no mistake, this is a choice. Right now, in this moment, you can either let this message pass by like all the others, just another temporary flicker of motivation, or you can decide that this is the moment you take action. You can choose to destroy the weak self and embrace the discipline, wisdom, and strength that has always been your birthright. No one can make this decision for you. No one can force you to rise. That is your responsibility, and your responsibility alone. The weak self is comfortable, but comfort is the enemy of greatness. You must be willing to let go of the life you have known to step into the life you were meant to live. And the only way to do that is through action. So now, I ask you, what will you choose? Will you continue to live in the illusion of limitation, or will you step into the reality of your power? Will you keep waiting for permission, or will you seize control of your destiny? If you are ready to become your ultimate self, if you are ready to leave behind a weak self forever, then prove it. Come in, I am Stoic below, and declare to the world that you are no longer bound by fear, hesitation, or weakness. The time is now. The choice is yours. Fellow Stoic, today you face the truth that most people spend their entire lives avoiding. You have looked into the depths of your own mind, confronted the reality of your weaknesses, and acknowledged that the only enemy standing in your way is the untrained, undisciplined version of yourself. This is the moment where most turn away, retreating into distraction, seeking comfort in excuses, convincing themselves that they are already strong enough, already disciplined enough, already in control. But deep down, they know the truth. They are at war with themselves, and instead of fighting, they surrender. But you are different. You have seen the battlefield for what it is. You understand that the only war that matters is the war within. The distractions that pull at your mind, the fears that whisper hesitation into your ear, the old habits that keep you shackled to mediocrity. These are your enemies, not the world, not society, not the circumstances that you were born into. The only thing standing between you and your strongest self is you. And now, you have the tools to eliminate the weak version of yourself once and for all. This is not just about motivation. Motivation fades. Inspiration dies. A moment of clarity, no matter how powerful, is worthless unless followed by action. The weak version of you will not vanish just because you recognize it. It will not disappear because you wish it away. It will fight for survival. It will try to pull you back into comfort, into distraction, into stagnation. It will whisper to you in moments of weakness, just this once, just one more day. You deserve a break. And if you listen, if you let that voice take hold, you will find yourself back where you started, knowing what needs to be done, but lacking the will to do it. The question is, will you take action? Will you take what you have learned today and apply it relentlessly? Will you silence the weak voice inside your mind with disciplined action? Will you become the master of yourself, not just in words, but in deeds? This is what separates those who rise from those who remain stagnant. It is not intelligence. It is not luck. It is not talent. It is the willingness to act, to do what must be done, to forge yourself in the fires of discipline and come out stronger. This is the path of the Stoic, the path of those who do not flinch in the face of difficulty, who do not seek the easy road, who do not allow their emotions to dictate their actions. Seneca once wrote, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does a body." The weak avoid difficulty because they see it as suffering. The strong embrace it because they see it as fuel. Every obstacle, every challenge, every hardship is another opportunity to sharpen the mind, to test the will, to prove that you are stronger than your circumstances. Look at your own life. Where have you chosen comfort over growth? Where have you allowed distractions to steal your time? Where have you let fear dictate your choices? If you are truly honest with yourself, you will see the areas where you have fallen short. And that is good, because now you have no excuses. Now, you cannot pretend you didn't know. The weight of responsibility is fully on your shoulders. And this is where the true test begins. Most will walk away. Most will find a way to justify staying the same. They will tell themselves they will start tomorrow, that they need more time, that the timing isn't right. But time does not wait. Life does not pause. The clock is always ticking, and every second you waste is another second lost forever. If you are ready, if you truly commit to walking this path, then declare it. Say it not just in words, but in action. Comment "I am Stoic" below, not as a meaningless phrase, but as a declaration, a commitment, a promise to yourself that you will not retreat, that you will not surrender to weakness, that you will train your mind, discipline your will, and take control of your life.